Brands Hatch is the venue for round 2 of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. It's a fabulous circuit, it's a real driver's track this, and we are in for 2 fabulous races this weekend. Last time out, it was all action at Zolder. The main race had Lamborghini on pole position, Mirko Bortolotti a little slow away from the line. Audi jumped briefly, but Bortolotti was back ahead as the cars poured their way through turn 1. Others less fortunate. There was contact at the very first corner, and Robin Frins had traffic all around him as he tried to carve his way through the pack. There were cars sporting damage on the opening lap, bodywork rubbing against tyres, but the number 11 Kessel Racing Ferrari was really in strife. An early puncture for Michael Broniszewski's car, forcing that into the pit lane and out of contention in Pro-Am. Andrea Caldarelli was charging on in the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. He had Robin Frins behind him, but he was also closing on Carlo Van Dam, and there was a great 3-way battle until the Lamborghini squeezed through on the inside at turn 1. The 2 Italian cars trading places. Up front with an 8-second lead was Mirko Bortolotti as the pit stops loomed. Bortolotti would come in to hand over to Christian Engelhardt, who had trouble with his belt. And number 2 of Dries Vanthoor blasted away in the lead, but taking some of the pit lane cones with him. Badly delayed was Engelhardt, still in the pit lane, losing chunks of time. A mechanic in the pit lane meant that there would be a drive-through for number 63 Lamborghini and a drive-through for the Audi as well for clattering the cones. Into the lead came Stijn Schothorst. There was another good fight going on lower down as Robin Frins and Stuart Leonard's car tried to get up the order. Vanthoor lent on Simon Gachet going through turn 1 and got a second drive-through for his pains. That meant it was a race win for Attempto and Stijn Schothorst and Calvin van der Linde. Second across the line, the ACA ASP Mercedes of the Brit Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marciello. But there was delight for Schothorst and van der Linde. Audi won at Zolder. Audi also won the Endurance opener at Monza. So here on home soil, Will Stevens is looking for a good result with his WRT run car that he shares with the Demon Fast Dries Vanthoor.
Yeah, it should be good. Zolder got off to a good and a bad start in a way. The first race we finished P2, which was a great way to start the year. The second race we were leading before Dries made a small mistake leaving the box. He went over some cones, so we felt like that was a race win which got away. So yeah, overall a positive start, our pace was strong, and heading to Brands, my home track, it should be a really strong race. Audi's always good here. Last year we had a 3rd place, so we're confident heading into the weekend.
The Lexus, run by Emil Frey Racing, is getting better and better all the time. The car becoming more competitive, and although it's in its infancy, this project, you can see the potential, and so also can one of the men behind the wheel. That is Albert Costa, and he is looking for good results here on a real driver's circuit. Is the Lexus well suited to Brands Hatch?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, everything is new, not only for the driver's mode, it's also for the team. And it's a very old school track. It's very tight. It's very difficult. A small mistake you have, you can go to the grass because it's very there is no option to do any mistake. And yeah, all the teams are here. It's been a lot of years before like racing here. They have a lot of experience. They've been in the sprint and endurance for many years. And we are a small team. We are not factory. We are private, and we're still learning. We're still developing this new car. But I believe with them, we have a huge people around. So we need time only. Just please wait.
Stuart Leonard and Robin Frins didn't have a great start to the season at Zolder, but here on Leonard's home soil at Brands Hatch, he's hoping for better fortune. And here is somebody who becomes increasingly competitive round by round. So what can he do for a race win at Brands Hatch?
I have been here quite a lot. It's kind of like, I guess, my home track, so I do generally feel quite comfortable here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it'll be. It's a fun, exciting place, and not a lot of room for mistakes. Last year, actually, it kind of hit me. I think Hungaroring, which is the second to last round, that we were in a strong position. I think we had 2 DNFs in the first 2 rounds, so we came back from that really strong. I think this year we've been more consistent with points and results. I think we can do better. and I hope we will together.
After a season in the Endurance Cup last year, Yorkshireman Josh Cagill is in the Sprint Cup this season with Team Parker Racing and the original Bentley Continental GT3, and he's loving being back in the cut and thrust of sprint racing.
Yeah, the track's definitely suits us a lot better here at Brands Hatch. Zolder wasn't our strongest place to start, but hopefully we can start the year from now and yeah, have a good result. We're both pretty relaxed guys and we just want to sort of help each other and do the best we can. So yeah, definitely we work well together and just trying to keep improving all year really.
We're used to seeing Andrew Watson in a McLaren in the Endurance Cup, but for the Sprint Cup, he's in the 3Y Technology BMW. The car has struggled a little bit across free practice, but the team is optimistic for better results come race day.
Yeah, Brands Hatch is probably one of my favourite tracks in the world. It's weird getting a train to a racetrack for a change. But yeah, I mean, I've won races here when I was learning in Ginetta GT Super Cup, so I have a lap record here. So there's a lot of good memories for me, and it's yeah, favorite track on the calendar. And I know the BM's good here, so yeah, really looking forward to this weekend.
In terms of livery, this is the most spectacular car on the grid. It's a very quick Ferrari from Kessel Racing, hustled by Carlo Van Dam.
I think what you see from last year, we really made another step. For PT, everything was new, the circuits, even some of the circuits for me were new. And I think everything fits in well this year, and on every area we're a step better than last year, so I believe we can stay ahead in the Pro-Am.
Somebody with huge amounts of experience of circuit and car is Pierre Capper. He drives for the Attempto Racing Squad, and he could well be on the top step of the podium this weekend.
It's an old-fashioned racetrack, and this is what I love. This is something how it should be also for the other racetracks, and that's the reason why I'm really looking forward to be here with the Audi and Peter and to race this weekend. I think Brands has such a history that it's an honor to be here.
Michael Meadows made his name really in the UK as a double Porsche Carrera Cup champion, but now behind the wheel of a Mercedes, he's one of the real stars of the Blancpain GT Series. Could he take a home win?
It's great to be at Brands Hatch. You know, it's a great track. I think all the drivers love it, especially the GP circuit. So hopefully we'll have some good pace. You know, I think we did quite well at Zolder, scored some points and got on the podium. If we can repeat that here, then we'll have a good weekend.
The sun is shining and the cars will shortly be released onto the grid in readiness for race one here at Brands Hatch, the first of the 2 hour-long races that we have today. This is the lap, the circuit, the full Grand Prix circuit, relatively unchanged from the very early days of the place.
The biggest changes are on the outside of the circuit. There is greater runoff around all the corners of Brands Hatch. If you raced here in 1964 or maybe even earlier when the Grand Prix loop was opened, you wouldn't recognise the circuit. You'd say, they've taken the character away from Brands Hatch. But make no mistake, this is a proper old school, and I'm going to emphasise it, racetrack.
And it's one that the drivers absolutely love. So, coming into this first race, of course, after 2 races at Zolder, it is Kelvin van der Linde and Stijn Schothorst who lead the championship from Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, more of whom in a moment. Dries van Thor is third with Will Stevens after picking up his penalties in the second race at Zolder. Then you've got Raffaele Marciello and Michael Meadows fourth. Ezequiel Perez Companc are fifth, along with Andrea Calderati. And then it's Stuart Leonard and Robin Frins, who is missing this weekend. He's on duty elsewhere. So let's have a quick look at the grid then. We've seen the cars, just to remind you who starts. Pole position is Dries van Thor, Stijn Schothorst is alongside. Row 2 is Michael Meadows, and then alongside will be Alex Riberas, Christopher Mies to take over, another strong car. Third row, it is Peter Schothorst and Nico Bastien heading the Silver Cup alongside. Then Stuart Leonard will start 7th on the grid, and Norbert Siedler for company ahead of the Mercedes of Nicolas Jamin. 9th and 10th on the grid is Christian Kleen in the second Lexus. Ezequiel Perez Companc comes next. Andrew Watson, the Northern Irishman, alongside. Then it's Timon Gachet and Loris Hezemans in a car shared with a very fast front Pereira. The Audi, though, has Christopher Hausser as the second driver, so that should make progress late race as well. Then you've got Josh Cagill and Aaron Taylor-Smith. Cagill starts, as does Piti Piron-Bahti alongside. Then it's Ian Loggie's Bentley and Neil Stevenart with Marcus Winkelhock for company. Back row is Vladimir Atuev and Christian Engelhardt, who is going to be the one to watch over the opening corners to see what progress he can make. Down towards clearways they come then, the drivers, and they are briefed, of course, every weekend to do this properly, get into the side-by-side Noah's Ark 2x2 formation. They have to go across the white lines. You can't be jutting outside by side. Penalties could come that way. We saw it happen quite a bit last year. It's up to the front row drivers of Dries van Toor and Stijn Schothorst then to control the pace. The lights go green. Race 1 for the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup at Brands Hatch is go, and a very good start by Van Toor, a slow start by Stijn Schothorst in the contrast as they go into paddock for the first time. It's going to be Audis 1 and 2. Michael Meadows drops back a little bit in the pack as well. What about Engelhardt? He's gained 1 spot going up through paddock. They round Druids for the first time. Schothorst trying to retaliate then as they come now through Druids, but Dries van Toor it is who leads the way. This is Michael Meadows' view. Started third and he's down in 4th place. Alex Riberas was on his toes in the number 1 Audi, and he's managed to move up the order.
Yeah, good move by Riberas. The Lamborghini bang it over. Look at Christian Engelhardt off the racetrack. I mean, well, he didn't gain anything, so there shouldn't be any penalties, but obviously pushing very hard, very early to try and make up ground.
He lost out, didn't he? I think he actually lost places by the rally cross, and it was Hezemans going on the grass ahead. And there we've got already off the road 35 from the back of the grid, Vladimir Atuev. That's up at Druids. We're still under the green. Now the screen's changed to safety car and yellow flags, and the message will get through to the drivers. Safety car is on track. Hold your position. Replay of the start. Just talk us through this, John.
Okay. Front row of the grid, side by side, waiting for the green light to go out. Once the green light goes out, the drivers have been told they are allowed to accelerate beyond the 80 kilometers per hour, but Dries van Toor got it absolutely perfectly. Michael Meadows in the Mercedes was just marginally ahead coming into paddock, but the Riberas Audi seemed to manage to find space on the outside. Tricky to do. Look at the way Dries van Toor shuts off the entry in. So Shorthorse had to back out of it. But well, there was contact. We don't know whether that was contact or just somebody losing it. Watch now the tail of the field on the outside. The Bentley absolutely slams into the side of the 63 Lamborghini. Not intended, just happened to be on the outside, trying to make up ground, and that's the penalty. If you put yourself there, then look, watch on board. Here we see Christian Engelhardt now moves out. Oh, it was actually the Bentley he was passing was alongside him. We were looking at the second of the 2 Parker Bentleys.
We're ready to go racing. The order is Dries van Toor ahead of Stijn Schothorst. Riberas is 3rd. Michael Meadows is 4th. In 5th place is Nico Bastien. In 6th it is Peter Schothorst as the green flag is ready on the start line. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line, which is now. We go racing, and Van Toor leads by half a second as he storms into paddock. Schothorst is 2nd. Riberas 3rd. Meadows 4th. 5th is Bastien. 6th is Peter Schothorst. Round paddock, and now the climb up towards Druids, but Dries van Toor is on a mission to try and get away here.
Yes, and he had all the opportunities in his favour. He was able to wait and go when he wanted to do so, and did that very effectively. Just coming into clearways then through Clark Curve, and has got the advantage again, that clear air. But the 66 Audi is not letting the number 2 Audi get away that quickly. So the gap between the 2 cars, in fact the gap between the first 3, but Riberas and the 3rd of those 3 Audis, these 3 cars are going to have a big race amongst themselves. It's Nico Bastien in the 5th car behind Michael Meadows in the 2nd of the 2 Mercedes, looking to come up and get alongside down into Hawthorne's corner. Michael Meadows under pressure from the sister Mercedes.
Well, the side-by-side on the outside is the Lamborghini. Brave stuff, and Christian Engelhardt swoops around the outside.
So again, Nico Bastien really giving Michael Meadows a workout into Surtees, and clearly Bastien is able to tuck the nose in that little bit neater in the apex, but again coming down this straight. Top speed 240 kilometers per hour. Whoa! Bastien just getting a little bit loose, under braking, is downshifting into Hawthorne's bend.
Now this is the move. Engelhardt trying to sort out the sister car of Perez Compang up the road ahead of him. Comes out of Druids. They're side by side. In fact, Perez Compang gets ahead of Hezemans, and Engelhardt gets through as well.
Yeah, I think that may have been a message clearly from Grasso Racing to say to Lawrence Hezemans, look, these 2 drivers behind you were much quicker. Again, looking on board from Christian Engelhardt, quicker driver than Perez Compang. Compang slightly makes an error coming under braking. That gives an opportunity for Engelhardt to get down the inside. He does. Again, maybe you might call that a tactical maneuver by the young Argentinian in the number 19, but job is done.
Now Engelhardt, 13th, catching Andrew Watson. The last lap for the Lamborghini was 9/10 quicker than the last lap of the BMW, and there they are. Look, the gap is coming down and down and down. Christian Engelhardt charging along behind the Bas Linders Ram 3Y Technology entered. BMW M6, they're dropping away as Perez Compang behind. He's now down in 14th place. 15th is Hezemans. 16th is the Bentley of Josh Cahill, but Andrew Watson's going to be under attack any moment.
And the Lamborghini Perez, compact runs wide.
Did that there yesterday, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He didn't. He managed to stay on the grass this time.
Andrew Watson doing a great job of defending, isn't he? Christian Engelhardt trying everything, but Andrew Watson goes a little bit wide now. Engelhardt one side, then the other. Andrew Watson is under pressure, but he's doing a great job of defending, and Engelhardt getting a bit more frustrated now. Tight line out of Westfield. Is he up the inside? Has he got McGrath? Yes! Through he goes. Christian Engelhardt goes through, and into the pits early comes the race leader, Dries van Toor, to give way right at the start of the window to Will Stevens.
That was unexpected. The race leader, I thought, may have stayed out that little bit longer, but they've decided to bring in Dries van Toor. But we just witnessed a real bit of motor racing between Andrew Watson having to defend and Christian Engelhardt doing everything that he could possibly do with the Lamborghini, and have finally made that pass down throh Dingle. In fact, that car 63 has also come in. So we're seeing the best part of, well, almost half the field now making pit stops at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, Andrew Watson in as
Good
well.
Stop.
So
Good
that's
stop.
Will Stevens away, but I'm surprised that they brought Van Toor in so early. Stuart Leonard's car is in the background. Now let's see what a Will Stevens lap is going to be like relative to Raffaele Marciello, who's taken over there from Michael Meadows. You see Pittibier on back, his Ferrari in to give way to Carlo Van Dam. As away now goes Frederic Verviche, the pole sitter for race 2 in the grey and yellow Audi.
And he's behind the Mercedes.
Yeah, indeed, as he was before the stop, so that car doesn't lose. Track position is maintained. He's probably actually closer to the Mercedes because that would have dropped a long way back earlier. And you've got Mirko Bortolotti then in for Engelhardt, blasting out of the pit lane as well.
It's a fairly, I would say, cautious opening lap. So he wants to get a feel for the car, a feel for the tyres. There's the second page. Can this car get in, through and out? It looks like it's going to... It's moving down the pit lane as Will Stevens comes on the racetrack. So Will Stevens has maintained the advantage.
Yeah.
And the 66 Attempter racing car will come out in second place with the number 1, I think, coming out directly behind it.
That's right. So Christopher Mies then goes through, and Raffaele Marciello is going to be 4th. The one that's gained, I reckon, is 17 Audi, because now Fred Verviche will be up into 5th place. So number 90 Mercedes drops back after Nico Bastian's good first stint. Now we need to have a look at the gaps between them, which we'll get next time through. And the Lamborghinis just get themselves back in the original order. Bortolotti ahead of Andrea Caldarelli there. That is Scott Horst out and Pierre Caffer in. Tyres about to be changed. As 66 then, Kelvin van der Linde chases sideways off the curb, chases after Will Stevens.
Nico Bastian has done all that he can do. The car will be handed over to Jack Manchester. Interestingly, there's about, well, I put it in inches, 6 inches difference in height. Yet Jack Manchester can sort of wrap himself around like a python, getting into the wheel, the steering column, the seat, the belts. How they do the belts, I don't know. That's very weird. But anyway, something maybe about the different body lengths.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Supple young bones as well. They're more malleable. This is the race leader. Will Stevens then up towards the line, but have a look behind him because the second Audi is the real chaser. Jack Manchester down the pit lane. He'll blend back in as through goes Stevens, through goes van der Linde. The gap is 2.2 seconds. That lap is 0.8 quicker by the South African than the Brit.
It certainly was.
Sector 1, Will Stevens responds a little bit. He's fractionally faster than is Kelvin van der Linde, but that gap has come down from over 4 seconds to 2.2. Christopher Mies still hustling on in 3rd spot as well. The Emil Frey Racing guests are watching what's going on for the Lexus pair. The Mercedes, Felix Morales, hard on the brakes late into paddock, and right onto the tail of Pierre Caffer, rides the curb, demolishes the floppy marker on the inside, and that might be a track limits query, but you can't argue with the commitment, can you? So Will Stevens leads the way, and Kelvin van der Linde has done some of the hard work. He's caught, but now the next part of the process has started. Where? How does he find a way past?
I thought maybe he was a little bit closer coming into Paddock Hill Bend to look to make a run up the inside into Druids, right under the rear wing of Will Stevens. Audi comes out, the gap pretty much constant. The number 66 will have to wait for the one to accelerate, then you catch up as this sort of seesaw effect. Both cars running wide at the bottom of Graham Hill Bend on their absolute limit. Looks up the inside again to try and just continually distract Will Stevens. But Stevens has done a good job and not letting the 66 Audi get into his head any more than it is.
Dries van Toor looks on in the WRT pit bunker, and things are about to change for Christopher Mies as well, look, because only 0.8 back from him is Raffaele Marciello. The leading 4 now covered by 1.6 seconds, and when we started talking about this, it was over 7. This is Marciello's view. Look, all the Audis ahead of him. Now, he has been able, like Kelvin van der Linde was earlier, like Christopher Mies has been, to catch up But then you get this problem of being stuck. You can't find the width to get past. The BOP works to equate the cars, so your advantage disappears once you catch up to the pack ahead. How, if at all, can Marciello get through the traffic here?
Well, Raffaello is one of these drivers, I can assure you, is not going to waste time. He wants to catch. If he knows he can get closer to Christopher Haas.
5 minutes and 38 seconds on the clock, which is ticking down and down and down. The gap, 11 tenths, covered 4 cars starting this lap as they work their way now up towards the clearways and Clark Curve approach. Down they come. So up front remains Will Stevens. Is it going to be the British driver to hang on to a great win? Well, 5 more minutes remain. Let's see. Through they come. Raffaele Marciello still hunting down Christopher Mies, who is hunting down Kelvin van der Linde, and it's Will Stevens leading by half a second this time. So that gap has stretched a little as they work their way through paddock. Drop down the hill, climb to Druids, everybody running wide, and Marciello into the gravel with 2 wheels there. That proves the commitment. Scott Horst looking rather nervous in the pit bunker at the Attempto Racing squad, Akinaka's team. So the pressure is still on, and Dries van Toor is feeling it. There's nothing he can do. I'm still intrigued to know, maybe John will find out post-race why it was a shorter stint from Dries. But Will Stevens is the race leader and comes up towards Sterling. Lap 38, he led by half a second coming onto this lap. There is Fred Vervisch, look, barrelling along in 5th, almost up with Marciello's Mercedes. Vincent Voss looking ever so nervous. The brain trust behind the WRT outfit, along with Thierry Tassin himself, like Vincent, former very successful racer. And the leading cars then come up towards the line, but dare one suggest this time, as the gaps open up a little, the drivers are starting to realise that they just are not going to be able to make progress unless a mistake comes ahead. The gap between 1st and 4th has collectively widened, and now are they settling? Are they thinking about preserving cars, gaining points out of this race and getting ready for race 2? Let's see. Marciello is 4th, still hustling on though, best he can. Downhill they swing now through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, and we've got a yellow flag out in sector 2. Now, is this going to change things? Somebody has had a drama in the sector they are now in. Let's try and find out who it is, where it is in a moment. We know it's none of the leading cars because they're only now coming into this zone of the lap. And that's your answer. Oh, Jack Manchester, the class leader, the Silver Cup class leader, has spun it away at Sheen Curve and he's in the gravel. And we've got time for 1 more lap at the end of this, and Jack Manchester is going no further, seemingly. So, yellow flags will wave. There it is, at Sheen Curve. The Mercedes is off the road, and Jack Manchester, I'm afraid to say, is out of the class lead that had looked so good, having spun the car into the gravel bed, and it looked as though that was all on his own. Now, all of a sudden, leader gets away, and 2nd and 3rd together. So van der Linde has to go defensive, and Christopher Mies tries to get up the inside as they come through to start the last lap. They're going to be side by side past the pits as van der Linde got a problem because the Audi goes through, and Marciello tries to follow suit on the inside of paddock, and there's contact between the 2 of them. Wide goes van der Linde, through goes Vervisch as well. 2nd to 5th. Marciello was a bit robust, but he had to seize the opportunity. He was going to get through anyway, I would have thought, but there was a run between them. But what caused the time to be lost for Kelvin van der Linde? Was it a problem? Because he'd certainly dropped away from the leader, and suddenly it was easy picking for the traffic behind him. So Christopher Mies goes up to 2nd and makes it a WRT 1-2. Marciello gets up to 3rd as they come out of Surtees now. Vervisch 4th, and 5th is Kelvin van der Linde. Can he do anything to fight back? I don't think he can. It just looks as though that car has lost pace. Now, granted, the contact at paddock won't have helped the situation, but there was something that was causing him to drop away anyhow, and that now gives Will Stevens a big lead going on to this final few corners and the final lap of what has been a very lively race indeed. Through they turn, past Jack Manchester's car, then now down towards the left-hander at Sterling's. Speed builds down towards Clark Curve. It is going to be a 3rd different winning crew in 3 races, because Dries van Toor and Will Stevens are going to come through to win race 1 at Brands Hatch in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. The winning margin, 11 tenths of a second. Dries van Toor is delighted. 2nd goes the way of Christopher Mies and Alex Riberas, ahead of Raffaele Marciello and Michael Meadows 3rd, 4th Fred Vervisch and Stuart Leonard, and 5th, dropping back on the last lap, Kelvin van der Linde and Stein Schrockhorst. And here, a drag race to the line, and it's a change. Felix Morales takes 5th place ahead of Pierre Caffer by 18 thousandths of a second. And in fact, that was for 5th, not 6th, because Van der Linde with a puncture comes through in 8th place. And it wasn't, as far as I can see, on the side of the contact. It was the left rear corner. And so Kelvin van der Linde has taken the flag, but it looked as though the tyre was going down, and it's now gone down. And this was the move for 2nd place. So now we know where the pace had disappeared to. The tyre was going down. Through on the inside goes Christopher Mies. Marchiello up the curb. Contact between the two. Tempted to say it was just one of those things, really. Van der Linde was putting up as best a defence he could, but with the tyre going down, the car was never going to handle perfectly, was it? Through on the inside goes the Audi. Marchiello up the curb. And actually, that shot suggested it was barely a brush. From the outside, it looked a lot worse, but it is Will Stevens and Dries Van Toor, winners of race 1 at Brands Hatch, with John Watson.
Dries, a bit of a walk in the park in reality for you this afternoon.
It's never easy, but you know, the car was running well, like it's always doing, actually. Yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, what we lost in Zolder, we got back here, and yeah, I mean, Will did a great job. I don't think it was his easiest stint, but he just did no mistake, and he kept him behind, and yeah, really happy, really happy.
Well, Will, you were under pressure pretty much all from the minute you got into the car. That was one of the best drives I've ever seen from you.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, this weekend we've been super fast on the Indy part of the track and struggling a little bit around the back, but you know, where I'm strongest is out front and making no mistakes. I didn't make one, and I was pretty comfortable out in the front, to be honest. They had the pace at the start, but I knew once we got into a rhythm we would be strong. So super happy. Dries did a great job at the start, and we need to keep racking up the wins.
Both did a great job. Well done.
So 2nd place to Christopher Mies and Alex Riberas, as they're the winners, celebrate with the team. Let's go back down to John.
Alex, it looked to me like the opening drivers had a relatively nice day at Brands Hatch. Sun, shine, not too much traffic.
Yeah, life was a bit easier for us in the first stint. You know, I was starting P4 on the outside. It's my first time here in Brands Hatch, so it's always tricky. But I managed to overtake one position in the first corner on the outside. It was quite a good way to start the race. And then finally, you know, Chris did a great stint. It was a great battle to watch from the box. And yeah, P2, it's fantastic also for the championship. So really, really happy.
Christopher, I was coming down from the commentary booth, so I missed your pass. Was that close your eyes and think of Germany?
It was quite tight on start finish. He didn't give me much room, but in the end I could make it stick. It was a long, hard race. If you're battling for like 30 minutes, it's quite exhausting. And I'm happy for the team that we scored a 1-2. It's really good for the championship, for team and drivers. It's really, really good.
Well done, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Race results confirm a win for Dries Van Toor and Will Stevens, ahead of Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies. 3rd, Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marchiello, the first non-Audi home, ahead of Stuart Leonard and Fred Verviche. Up to 5th, Nicolas Germain, Felix Morales, ahead of Peter Schrockhorst and Pierre Caffer. Simon Gachet and Christopher Haas are 7th, and down to 8th. Doesn't seem fair, does it? Stein Schrockhorst and Kelvin van der Linde from the Lexus, and Norbert Siedler and Stefan Ortelli. And into the top 10, Christian Engelhardt and Mirko Bortolotti from Klein and Costa, and then Perez, Companc and Caldarelli to round out the first dozen. And that now means the championship looks like this. Dries Van Toor and Will Stevens are 4.5 points up on Kelvin van der Linde and Stein Schrockhorst, ahead of Raffaele Marchiello and Michael Meadows. Then come Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies, ahead of Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt. Stuart Leonard with different co-drivers over Zolder and Brands Hatch is on his own. Next, ahead of Nicolas Germain and Felix Morales. Ezequiel Perez, Companc and Andrea Caldarelli are ahead of Robin Prince, who was at Zolder but not here. Frederic Verviche here but not Zolder is 10th. And then it's Alessio Picariello, Gilles Magnus, ahead of the disappointed Peter Schrockhorst and Pierre Caffer. Christopher Haas, Simon Gachet come next, ahead of Alexis Cornille. The trophies are being brought forward, and for the 3rd place drivers, the trophies handed over to Michael Meadows, the British driver, and Italian Raffaele Marchiello. Now for 2nd place in this WRT 1-2, there is the trophy for Christopher Mies, the trophy also there for Alex Riberas, and the team trophy for WRT. But it is going to be a British driver on the top step. Will Stevens wins with Dries Van Toor here at Brands Hatch. The trophy is presented, and the winning drivers hold the trophies aloft for the photographs. And now, inevitably, there is the champagne. The celebrations are underway at Brands Hatch for Will Stevens and Dries Van Toor, and for the Belgian WRT team that has taken honours in this opening race. Can WRT do the double at Brands Hatch? One of its cars starts on pole position. Welcome along, everybody, to another hour of drama in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. So Fred Verviche lines up toe-to-toe with Raffaele Marciello. The run to paddock going to be crucial. Behind them will start Christopher Mies and Mirko Bortolotti. Three different brands within the top four on the grid. Then comes Calvin van der Linde's Audi, the sister car out of the Audi stable, but a different team of Christopher Hasser ahead of its team car. Marcus Winkelhock at the wheel and Efren Pereira's Lamborghini. Next comes the Mercedes of Felix Morales and the Lexus of Albert Costa. Stuart Leonard watching his car on pole. Michael Meadows watching the Mercedes that will be on the outside of row one. In peels the safety car. 60 minutes of racing. Race 2 for the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup at Brands Hatch about to get underway. The lights on red at the moment will go green now. We're racing and a great start is made by Verviche. Nowhere near as good out of the blocks is Marciello, who suddenly has to think about defending because up on the inside line there to take the pace away against Christopher Mies. Marciello is down to third, he's wide, he's in the gravel, back onto the circuit. How much does he lose out of all of that? Bortolotti tries to work out which way to go. He's fifth, the Druids almost cars into the back of him. There was some contact, I think.
And one of the Lamborghinis has gone off on the entry into, there it is, on the entry into Druids.
Calderelli.
So contact.
Andrea Calderelli, and there's more drama coming down the hill. Both Bentleys are off the road. There's going to be a yellow flag, so certainly because there's been mayhem coming out of Druids down to Graham Hill Bend. We'll pick it up in a moment as the leaders go through Surtees, but I'm afraid to say there's one off at Druids and 3 cars have crashed coming downhill for the first time.
And Raffaele Marciello has been relegated back from second to fourth. He got it all wrong at the start. He didn't anticipate the flag, and it's a yellow flag.
Safety car deployed, safety car on track. And it all has happened coming out of Graham Hill Bend. It looks to me as though it's both of the Bentleys. Aaron Taylor-Smith was off the road. I think Alexei Kornev is off as well in his Mercedes. There it is. And look further up, you'll see Callum McLeod's Bentley there. That's both of Stuart Parker's cars out of the race.
Let's look again and see. It was messy coming out. Contact with the...
yeah.
Space bund. Well, the one was... The two Bentleys... The 32 car was spun into the 31 Bentley.
Right, that was Carlo Van Dam making contact with Andrea Calderelli, and out of the corner, McLeod gets turned around. Aaron Taylor-Smith has got nowhere to go. He goes right into the path of a spinning car. Alexei Kornev involved in all of that as well. Well, we know what's going to happen. The stewards are going to be busy. Now, let's see if we can have a look at the start just further up the road, because Mirko Bortolotti started 4th on the grid. We'll have a look at his start. And as the cars go up towards Westfield, John, this is the go.
So Mirko Bortolotti's pace is really restricted by that of the car ahead of him. That's Raffaele Marciello, and he was slow off. Now I think he didn't anticipate the pace of Fred Verviche. Now on the outside of paddock, watch what happens. He's run wide, almost 4 wheels off on the gravel, but claws it back onto the racetrack. But compromised, runs wide in the middle of Druids. That gives the idea coming. I get another slap into the side as Raffaele comes back to defend his place, but he is vulnerable. And now the undercut, the Mercedes getting slightly loose on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, gets overtaken and up into Surtees, so from second to fourth in the space of 4 corners.
And we are going to go racing, so let's now concentrate on the remaining 47 minutes that we have as the safety car peels towards the pit lane. It is Frederic Verviche leading Christopher Mies, and Raffaele Marciello, who's on his toes this time, trying to get back past Calvin van der Linde, disappointed with that punctured tyre late race in race 1. The green flag is ready on the timing line. The race is back underway, and Verviche it is that storms clear coming over the line. Mies is 6/10 back as they dive into paddock. 3rd is van der Linde, 4th is Marciello, 5th is Bortolotti, Winkelhock runs 6th, 7th is Pereira, 8th is Costa, 9th is Perales, 10th is Pierre Caffer, and they climb up towards Druids, with there the challenge being made by the Attempto car. Pierre Caffer trying to get up the inside of Felix Morales. They round Druids, and Verviche leads the way.
So again, another perfect start from Frederic Verviche.
Down through Hawthorns goes Marciello, then inching up onto the back of Kelvin van der Linde. Short run across Derek Minter straight into Westfield, the leader trying to get away, but actually Mies is quicker in the first sector on this lap. So Christopher Mies, number 1, the car that he shares with Alex Riveras, he runs in 2nd spot, trying to get away from Calvin van der Linde. Marciello not quite close enough yet to make the move. So is he going to be on the pit stops where we see the shuffling of the order?
Whoa, again riding the curve, and the back end snaps from you. It's a very irregular curve. It's one that you've got to be gentle and careful of, not aggressive. It can bite or catch you out and bite you both.
The pit window is open, as you see. So we'll see at the end of this next lap, because it's the first time it's been open for the leading cars, whether they're going to be able to take full advantage of it. In Pro-Am, Marcus Winkelhock leads from Carlo Van Dam, and it's only the two survivors. There is the class-leading Audi, currently running in 6th overall.
We'll go back to the battle for the lead. Fred Verbies comes through clearways, and in the pits goes 2nd place. Christopher Mies, early pit stop. Now that's an unusual, in my view, but WRT have got a number of cars, so they could just mix and match and decide. 66 in as well.
So Van der Linde in for Stone Schrothorst, Christopher Mies in for Alex Riberas. There is the Attempto Audi down the pit road. And number 1, Alex Riberas, is ready to take over as well. So pit stops cycle through then now, and the co-drivers do their required work as the tyres are changed on number 1, the Attempto squad, which has certainly become far more successful since it started running Audis. They've tried different brands. McLaren has won in the past.
Delay getting the number 1 rolling.
Yeah.
And also 66 rolling as well. So more or less, you might say, even Stevens. Unfortunately, the fact the gap has extended. WRT did a very good job. In spite of taking a couple of additional seconds to get the engine fired up and get rolling, there is the lead car making its way. That's the 17 car, Fred Verbies.
And also coming in is Will Stevens to give way to Dries Venter in the race 1 winning car.
Here he comes on that pit lane limiter. It sounds like the proverbial bag of nails. Yes. And then when they release it, it's like an explosion of sound. It just, the V10 erupts into a cacophony of wonderful, normal, aspirated exhaust note. Hope we never lose that.
I totally agree. Long may it continue. Will Stevens gives way to Dries Venter, who straps him in and runs around the car. The car is dropped down. The old tyre's taken away. That's ready to go. The leading car is in this time. So Verbies at the end of lap 18 dives for the pits. Marciello staying out. He will get the race lead, but of course he's running on older tyres, and this car will go onto fresh tyres.
Indeed it is, and Fred Verbies was absolutely hard on the brakes as he came up to the pit line.
Stuart Leonard gets on board the WRT engineers in the very hot conditions, doing the hard work of changing tyres. Here comes Alex Riberas, and away goes Stuart Leonard then, so the car leaves in the lead. It's going to go back into the race now. Number 1 Audi's almost with him. They're going to be absolutely together as they dive into paddock. And remember that Riberas is a lap into the stint. He knows what the car's like. He knows what the track is like. Stuart Leonard does not. Riberas tries to muscle up the inside line, and Stuart Leonard, a good defence, just hangs on to the lead.
Yeah, he was cautious coming out of the pit lane into Paddock Hill Bend, and he knew he had the number 1 Audi right on his rear wing. This is the best opportunity for the number 1 Audi to try and squeeze past the current race leader. Going into Surtees, goes with the wide entry. They're going to make the undercut, trying to get quicker speed off the exit of Surtees. It's going to be close. This is going to be an attempt coming down into Pilgrim's Drop up onto Hawthorns. Stuart Leonard is going to run in the middle of the racetrack to try and prevent anything from Riberas, and he's succeeded in doing it. And if he can do that for this opening lap, he then has got a reasonable chance of consolidating his race lead.
There is Mirko Bortolotti giving way to Christian Engelhardt. Marciello's last lap was a 25.3, the best lap of the race. Christopher Mies 25.0 from earlier on. So Marciello trying to get clear track space, trying to push and build up the advantage.
Go, hit the barrier on the way in.
Whoa, Marciello.
Well, Raffaele.
Dear. That's going to be looked at.
No pasta for you before you go to bed tonight then, will there?
No, I'm afraid that's going to be looked at by the officials. Drama's coming into the pit lane. Anyway, Marciello gets out, Michael Meadows gets in. You can't say there wasn't commitment and energy, but here it is, John. Talk us through it.
He's just too quick. He couldn't slow it down. The pit lane is not the racetrack, well, it technically is, but he glanced off it, but it depends how much steering lock he might have had on.
The car is about to leave the pit lane. It will not stay ahead of the 2 leading Audis, and it will be 4th as it was before the stop. So Michael Meadows there is behind Stijn Schrothorst as they go up the hill, and it's Stuart Leonard in the lead. So actually on the pit stops, the top 4 has remained the same. Now as there, Felix Serrales and Nicolas Jamin's Mercedes goes round the outside to try and get ahead of the 82 Loris Hezemans Lamborghini. You're on board with Peter Schrothorst, who goes up round the outside there. The Dutch driver is forced back in the pack.
Yeah, he tried to take the long way round, but the reality with 3 other cars ahead of you, you're always going to get shuffled back to from where you have just come. So again, 82 Lamborghini now a threat up the inside, dive up the inside. Laura Hezemans just about able to stay on the brakes.
Great little battle pack here. So you've got in 6th place Neil Stevenart running slightly out of position in a sense, because Marcus Winkelhock got the car up there in the first stint. Neil Stephenhart was a long way back in race 1. Loris Hezemans is also, of course, in that mix thanks to Franck Pereira's opening stint. And Nicolas Jamin, the French-American driver, courtesy of the early efforts of Felix Sorales. And up there with them as well is Peter Scothorst. So he's probably actually on natural pace, more likely to be ahead of those 3. And he's about to have a go! There's contact at the inside of Hezemans. He goes. I am coming through, says Peter Scothorst. And look at Jamin, 2 wheels on the grass, also coming out of Clark Curve. You can overtake round here just, but you've got to be brutal about it. Jamin goes through. Peter Scothorst has gone through as well, so that puts him up into 8th. Jamin into the top 6, but that was all pretty brutal. Hezemans looks to the inside. Gap is open up for him. He's going to go through. Loris Hezemans will go up the inside of Druitt, and Christian Kleen tries to follow suit. Kleen sweeps up the inside, then goes through, gains a place, and also coming up to have a go with Simon Gachet.
Yeah, that was a little bit of inexperience. So, I mean, Kleen overtakes. Christian Kleen saw what was happening, made the manoeuvre and made it stick, and that was the important thing, to get up the inside square before you enter into the corner, and it was a relatively straightforward pass.
Now this is a lap ago. Have a look at Riberas running wide, all 4 wheels off.
Yeah, and following in 3rd place as well. So 2 cars, short horse as well, 2nd and 3rd place cars well and truly off. On board Christian Engelhardt up the hill into Paddock Bend. Again, that intense concentration, you drop down, the compression at the bottom of Paddock Bend, then uphill, hard on the brakes, swing it into Druids, a long, long corner.
We understand it was a rear wheel issue that has stopped number 2 Audi. So 4th and 5th together, Meadows and Engelhardt. Is there going to be a change before the end? Well, Christian Engelhardt throwing everything at this, but he can't get there yet. Takes a tighter line, diving into 30. He's trying to force a mistake out of Michael Meadows. And now we've got another warning about track limits, and it's for the 3rd place car. Stein Scothorst is now being warned about track limits as they accelerate up through Hawthorns on towards Westfield. The 2 leading cars clear. This is the 4th and 5th fight you're looking at. And there is a drive-through penalty for Christian Kleen for causing a collision. So Christian Kleen running in 8th place. He's being given a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. Right, now this is about to be the change of lead in Pro-Am potentially. Neil Stephenhart's Audi just ahead of Piti Beiran-Bahti. They've got tucked up behind them Peter Scothorst, who has fallen right to the very back. And this is the problem for Beiran-Bahti, because he's having to defend from Scothorst rather than attack the Audi ahead. Through goes Scothorst. And as they go through Paddock, that now, unless this Audi can get ahead of the car up the road ahead, is going to really affect the Pro-Am battle, because Piti Beiran-Bahti can't have a go at Neil Stephenhart because he's got this other Audi in the way. It's been a very good day for Audi. It's been a very good day for WRT. Grasser and Attempto won at Zolder. WRT locking out both wins here. And there in the pit garage, they look at the data, they look at the screens, and in a moment we'll see a checkered flag wave at another 1-2 finish for the WRT Audis across the line to win on home soil. Stuart Leonard wins with Frederic Verviche, 2nd Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies, and 3rd the Attempto Audi of Stein Scothorst and Kelvin van der Linde. And look at this for 4th, nose to tail up to the line, but Michael Meadows just hangs on ahead of Christian Engelhardt. 6th goes the way of Nicolas Jamin and Felix Sorales. The top 6 covered by 14.7 seconds. Out steps Stuart Leonard, and a race victory for the British driver here at Brands Hatch, and he understandably is over the moon. Goes to the team to congratulate them and thank them for all the hard work. But 2 British winners in the 2 races here. So Frederic Verviche and Stuart Leonard are the winners, and they are with John Watson.
Fred, congratulations, but an absolutely blinding start. Did you anticipate the lights or not?
I just took a good start, I guess, and I think that was the key. But then I want to say a special thanks to Stuart. He did an amazing job. It was an incredible drive, so thanks to him.
Well done, great drive, well done, guys.
Race results: Stuart Leonard and Fred Verviche win race 2 at Brands Hatch from Alex Riberas and Christopher Mies. Stein Scothorst and Kelvin van der Linde 3rd from Michael Meadows and Raffaele Marciello. Christian Engelhardt 5th along with Mirko Bortolotti from Nicolas Jamin and Felix Sorales. Then Loris Hezemans and Franck Pereira. Silver Cup winner Nico Bastian and Jack Manchester. 9th Simon Gachet and Christopher Hasser in its 10th for Norbert Siedler and Stefan Ortelli. Andrew Watson and Lucas Morais 11th, and Neil Stephenhart and Marcus Winkelhock win the Pro-Am battle in 12th place. And 2 very happy drivers, especially Stuart Leonard, championship leader, thanks to his own efforts and also, of course, the efforts of co-driver Frederic Verviche. For now, The celebrations are underway on the podium. We've had 2 British winners here this weekend. A great weekend of action here from John Watson and David Addison. Thanks for your company. It's bye-bye from Brands.